Imagine waking up one morning to find your wallet isn't quite as bulging as you thought it was. You have the same amount of money, but suddenly, that same amount can't buy you nearly as many goodies as before. And then you start wondering, what is inflation really? Inflation might sound like some mysterious force that's out to get us, but let's take a closer look at what's actually happening. It all starts with the thing we value most in our daily lives: prices. And here's the surprising part. Inflation isn't about money disappearing into thin air. It's really about how much things cost changing over time. When the price of goods and services goes up, that means your dollar, or any other currency, can buy less than it used to. For example, let's say a loaf of bread used to cost $1 last year. Now, it might cost you $1.20 because the bakery has bought more wheat or hired higher-paid employees. So even though you have the same amount of money in your wallet, that same dollar can't buy as much bread as before. This is what inflation does. It slowly but surely shrinks the purchasing power of our savings over time. And it's not just bread either. Think about all those other things we use every day: gasoline for your car, clothes, rent, and so on. Each one goes up in price, making less out of more. So why does this happen? Well, inflation is often caused by a rise in the overall demand for goods and services without an increase in supply. Think of it as a game where everyone wants to trade more than there are things to trade. And here's another surprising part. When inflation happens, your money isn't being eaten up by some invisible force. It's simply losing value because prices are going up. So, the same amount of savings today won't buy you the same amount next year. Inflation is like a slow leak in a water balloon. Over time, the balloon gets smaller and smaller until it finally pops, just as your savings slowly shrink due to rising prices. So we got our mystery of shrinking money, and now let's dive into what's causing it: inflation. Now, you might have heard that inflation is just about prices going up, but there's more to it than that. Let's break it down with a simple example. Imagine you've been visiting the same little bakery every Sunday for years. For decades, a loaf of fresh bread has always cost $1. But suddenly, one year, the price goes up to $1.20. The next year, it jumps to $1.40. By the fifth year, it's doubled at $2. This is like our mystery case, but this time, it's happening everywhere. Not just with bread, but with everything you buy. And here's the surprising part. It's not just the bakery that's raising prices. It's a widespread phenomenon across the entire economy. When the price of bread goes up, so do the costs for all the other ingredients like wheat and flour. The baker needs more money to pay workers, who then ask for higher wages, which means the cost of everything goes up. Think about it this way. Imagine you're filling a bucket with water every day. Normally, you can fill it completely without spilling. But as time goes on, more things start needing water: your plants, the flowers, even the garden hose. Soon enough, you realize that by the end of the week, there's not quite enough room in the bucket to fill everything up. This is kind of like how inflation works. Our economy keeps adding more and more demands for money, but the supply doesn't keep pace. Inflation isn't just about bread prices. It's a sign that every good and service across the board is getting a bit pricier. And this has a big impact on your savings because when everything costs more, each dollar you have buys less than it used to. So while your piggy bank might be full of dollars, those same dollars are worth less than they were. All right, let's dive into how the money supply interacts with demand to create inflation. Imagine a small town called Springfield. It has 100 people living there, each earning their own money. Now, think of this money as coins in your pocket. In the early days, Springfield was doing well. Everyone had enough goods and services to go around. Each coin could buy what it needed. But then something interesting happened. More people started moving into town. By now, 150 people lived there, but no new coins were minted, just those original 100 coins. So, you've got the same number of coins in circulation, but they're now spread among more people and used for more goods and services. To put another way, each coin is like a person carrying 2 bags instead of 1. The value of each coin has increased because there are fewer of them to buy around. Now, let's fast forward. Springfield's leadership decides to print more coins to help everyone out. They mint 50 new coins, making the total now 150 coins in circulation for those 150 people. Suddenly, you've got too many coins chasing the same amount of goods. Each coin is worth less because there are more of them. This is how inflation works in an economy. When a country prints more money, increases the money supply, faster than the growth in goods and services demand, each unit of currency becomes worth less. It's like if you suddenly had twice as many people trying to buy the same number of apples. Naturally, the price per apple would go up. So when we say inflation is eating away at savings, it means that with more money around but no increase in goods and services, your money buys less than before. If you save $100 last year and it could buy a month's worth of groceries, this year the same $100 might only buy 2 weeks' worth. Let's continue our story with Sarah, a young woman who saved up $1,000 in her piggy bank to buy a new laptop. She was excited because the laptop she wanted cost exactly that amount today. Now imagine this scenario. In 1 year, the same laptop costs $1,050. Sarah hasn't earned any more money. She just kept her $1,000 in savings. But now, with inflation at play, the laptop has gotten 5% pricier. Sarah's $1,000 doesn't stretch as far anymore. She can still buy the same laptop, but only if she had saved more or found extra money somewhere. The real value of her savings, what it can actually buy, has decreased. This is what we call inflation's impact on purchasing power. It's like an invisible force that slowly eats away at your savings over time without you even realizing it. Think about it. If the price of everything goes up, but your piggy bank balance stays the same, your money becomes less valuable. You can't buy as much with your $1,000 as you could before. And the surprising part? The higher the inflation rate, the faster your savings get eaten up. It's like a slow leak in a balloon. You don't notice it right away, but over time, all the air disappears. All right, let's dive into how central banks play a crucial role in managing inflation by adjusting interest rates. It's like having a thermostat for an economy, but instead of regulating temperature, they control the amount of money flowing around. Imagine you're running a home where your savings are the warm, cozy room you want to keep at a comfortable temperature. Now, think of central banks as the thermostat that regulates the flow of money in and out of this room. When they lower interest rates, it's like opening more windows and turning up the heat. More people and businesses get excited about spending and borrowing money. And here's the surprising part. When central banks lower interest rates, they're essentially adding more warmth to your economic room. This can be really good for short-term growth. When it's cheaper to borrow, companies start investing in new projects, and people might feel like spending more. It's like a salesperson giving everyone a discount tag on everything. More people are enticed to buy. But there's a catch. If you keep adding warmth without managing it properly, the temperature can rise too high. That's when inflation starts creeping in. More money chasing the same amount of goods and services means prices go up. Your savings that were once worth $100 might only buy what was worth $80 before. In other words, your savings lose value because everything costs more. So when central banks see inflation starting to rise, they step in by raising interest rates, closing some of those windows, and turning down the heat. This makes borrowing more expensive, which can slow down spending and investment. It's like telling everyone that discounts are ending soon. People start saving more and spending less. The challenge for central banks is to find this perfect balance. They need to lower interest rates enough to stimulate the economy, but not so much that inflation gets out of hand. And when they raise interest rates, it's all about cooling things down, just right to keep prices in check without stifling growth. So next time you hear about central banks raising or lowering interest rates, remember it's like them adjusting the thermostat to balance your economic room, keeping everything comfortable and not letting inflation get too hot. It's a delicate dance that keeps our money system in check. Inflation isn't just a series of rising prices. It's like a slow but steady hand squeezing your piggy bank over time. Imagine you have $100 in coins, and every year, that money loses some of its buying power. Maybe not the exact amount each year, but consistently eroding its value. Now, let's go back to our central banks. Remember how they can influence interest rates? Well, when they raise interest rates, it's like making your piggy bank harder to crack open. People and businesses have less incentive to spend their money right away because the reward for saving is higher. This can help slow down inflation. But here's the surprising part. If the central banks wait too long to act, or if the economy grows faster than expected, the inflation rate could spike out of control, like a water balloon that's been squeezed and then suddenly released. That's why understanding how much money is in circulation and how it's moving around is key. And here's another twist. Inflation isn't just about prices going up. It's also about economic growth. When an economy grows, more jobs are created, and people have more to spend. This increased demand can push prices higher too. So, the balance between money supply and economic growth is like a delicate dance. A misstep in either direction can lead to inflationary pressures. So, why does this matter for your savings? Well, if you keep all your money under your mattress, eventually it will be worth less because of inflation. That's why thinking about investments that grow faster than the rate of inflation is crucial. For example, stocks or real estate might offer a better return over time compared to holding cash. Inflation isn't something scary. It's just another part of the economic puzzle. By understanding how it works and its impact on your savings, you can make smarter choices about where to put your money.